let me talk a little bit about 3 things you can do for your coworkers, and then we'll take a break. All right, good, we are on time. Okay, so the first one is very important to include assessment of values and skills development in the appraisal process. And I can't tell you, I've interviewed over 80 companies now for my new Coursera course that's going to come up later this year on employee happiness. And of the 5 elements of the BAMBA, we talked about basic needs, we talked about autonomy, now we're talking about mastery. This is the one determinant that most managers, most employers do not recognize how important it is. They hire somebody because they want a task done. They don't really worry about, is this task helping this employee grow in meaningful ways, in ways in which they want to grow, ways in which they are interested, where their element is, where their talents are, or what they enjoy doing. So it's very, very important in the appraisal process, not only to look at, okay, this is what we wanted you to achieve, this is what you achieved, or this is what you achieved, and therefore, here's my evaluation. You also have to look at, what are the ways in which this employee wants to grow? Where are their talents? What are the points of enjoyment? Where are their passions? And am I putting this person in the job where they can grow in the areas in which they want to grow? It's very important. This book actually talks a lot about it, helping people win at work. I would highly recommend it. This Gary Ridge, he's the CEO of a company called WD-40. Are you guys familiar with this product? It's an oil lubricant. Okay, excellent product. All right, second thing you can do is to provide resources for training and education. And this is becoming increasingly important in this day and age, particularly with online education offering the ability to do this relatively for cheap, I would say. So LinkedIn as a company, for example, has this policy that any employee can take any course online on Coursera, for example, or on edX or Udemy, etc., and they will pay for it. Okay? If you're not familiar with Coursera, I would say that you should really check it out. It has a lot of courses, including my own original course on life of happiness and fulfillment, but it has over 4,000 courses on a variety of topics. So even if it's not a skill that is directly relevant to your work, of course we're talking about work here, but you're really interested, let's say, in history, in Greek history or astronomy, you can pick almost any topic under the sun, and you're almost guaranteed to find a course that's very aligned with that interest. And I would say, I would highly encourage you to try it out. All right, last one is to, this by the way is examples of companies that encourage learning and education and training. Google has this policy of bathrooms being so pleasant to experience that people don't want to get out of it, okay? So what they do is they have books in their bathrooms, they have music, they have other kinds of things that they can use to learn and grow, and that is one way in which they found that their employees are really happy at Google. Okay, so the last thing that I'll say here is to provide opportunities for something called 360 feedback. How many of you people are familiar with this idea of 360 feedback? Please raise your hands. I know that a lot of companies use it. This is kind of patented by a good friend of mine called Marshall Goldsmith. Because a few hands went up here, I won't describe this in great detail, but this is how 360 feedback is supposed to work, and it can be very, very useful in identifying ways in which people want to grow and learn and progress towards mastery in their field. There are a few steps here. All right. Oh, I think I removed that slide. I'm really sorry, guys, but in the 360 feedback, you identify, as a person who's seeking feedback, you identify between 6 and 12 people from whom you want feedback. And because you've identified them, you respect them, you trust them, maybe they are even your friends. And the coach or the consultant gets this feedback from these 6 or 12 people about ways in which you're good, but ways in which you can improve as well. Okay? And then they assimilate the feedback and look at some common themes that emerge and give you that feedback. So for example, I did it with my colleagues back at UT Austin. And one of the feedbacks that I got from my colleagues was that I wasn't very good at responding to emails quickly. Okay? One of the common themes that emerged, and that really, really helped me. I did not know this about myself. Okay, so it can help you really grow and learn. I'll be happy to talk to you about 360 feedback during the break, but let me get to 3 things you can do for yourself. The last one that I would say is to protect what is called your cream time, and I'm really going to focus on this for the most part in this present, the rest of the time that we have, about 7 or 8 minutes. So let me first talk about what cream time is. And this is not necessarily a term that Daniel Pink uses in the book When, but it's very consistent with it. What he says is that people have different levels of mental and physical energy at different times in the day. And this is a typical graph that people have a high level of energy as soon as they wake up. And then as the sun goes down, they have a low level of energy. And the next day, again, they have a high level of energy when they wake up and low when the sun goes down. But actually, there's actually something called a double hump. So we have high levels of energy typically between, let's say, 8 a.m. or 9 a.m. and about 12 noon, maybe 1 p.m. But it goes down after that, especially after lunch. So this is a really bad time for energy levels. Okay? And then it goes up again around 3 o'clock. And then it hits another peak at around 5 and then goes down again. So there's a double hump, as it's called. And you want to do your most important work when your energy levels are high, obviously. And do your most urgent work when your energy levels are low. Okay? Urgent but not important, you remember the difference, right? So things that are more important you want to do when your energy levels are high. And so this brings us back to the things to do list that I talked about earlier. On the journal template on top of page 1, you have a bunch of things listed, including, did I do my best to protect my cream time? So what I do personally is I do 3 things. I switch off my cell phone during my cream time, which is 9 to 12 in the morning. I don't get distracted by it. I close my email so that I don't get any distracted by it. And finally, I close my office door. All my colleagues know this, that between 9 and 12 in the mornings, I'm probably not going to respond to emails. I know that some of my colleagues have told me that I don't respond to emails as fast as they would like it, but they know because I've told them this. So this is how I protect my cream time, and I highly urge you to do this. And by the way, this is a recommendation from a book called Deep Work by Cal Newport. Deep Work by Cal Newport, where he interviews a lot of people who are very, very good at what they do. And he's summarized some of these common practices of these high achievers. Okay, so I'm going to now ask you guys, let's see how much time we have. All right, we only have 1 minute, so not a whole lot of time. Okay, so I want you guys to, during the break, you can do this, these 3 steps, and of course there's a 4th step to tell us how this turned out. But I want you guys to think a little bit about what your cream time is. Okay? And like I said some time back, it's usually 9 to 12 in the morning for most people. And how do you typically get distracted currently from this screen time? And maybe some of you guys are really, really good at protecting it already, okay? In which case you don't need to do this exercise. But I can bet you that many of you can do at least 1 or 2 other things in addition to what you're already doing in order to further protect the screen time. So come up with ways in which you're currently distracted and what might be some ways in which you can protect the screen time, okay?